All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great milestone and do well. Salutation to the man of the hopeful and sincere elect. There's a brother Marcus out here in Trinidad. I just want to do all the edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson would be Hebrew Israelite Mask, Hebrew Israelite Face. All right. Hebrew Israelite Mask, Hebrew Israelite Face. And what I mean by this, a lot of people is like, you say like you have two face. All right. So for those who ever watched the movie V for Vendetta years ago, when the woman, his so-called love interest, when she was trying to see his real face, she took off the mask, and when she took off the mask, there was another mask underneath it. And when she removed that mask, there was another mask also. All right. And basically that's symbolizing, when you take off one mask, what underneath supposed to be the same exact thing. So when you're in this truth, when you're out on the highways and byways, when you're doing your lessons, when you're on video, when you're around brothers, when you're around people in the faith, that mask that you have on should be your natural face. All right? There shouldn't be, when you take that off, there's a different character. We're not Bruce Wayne and Batman. All right? You're always in character. All right, you're always in character. When the mask that you have on, that is your always mask. Even if you take it off, when you take off your Hebrew Israelite mask, what remains is a Hebrew Israelite face. Same individual, not somebody that's one way on camera, and then when not on camera, when you're not around brethren, you're totally different. All right, you're totally different. And you're not supposed to be like that. Then basically you're just an imitator. You're just an imitator. All right. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own self. Basically prove to yourself whether you be in the faith, because you're not fooling nobody. You're only fooling yourself if you acting in this truth. If you in this truth and you acting, you don't believe Yahweh is the name of the Most High. Yahweh Shai is his son's name. You don't believe the MOTB is the micro C hip. You don't believe Esau going into captivity. You don't believe only Israel could be saved. If you don't believe the doctrine, basically you have on a Hebrew Israelite mask, but not a Hebrew Israelite face. Because deep down, that is not. Look at Gorilla Hebrew. Look at what happening to him. All of a sudden, he's no longer an Israelite. So basically, you was faking it all the time. You was faking it. You didn't believe. And there are many others like that. But the Lord said, leave them until the day, except they be taken away with, you take away the wheat with the chaff. All right? It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own self. Know ye not your own self, how that Yahweh Shai is in you? Yahweh Shai is in you. All right? The Holy Spirit that is in you is Yahweh Shai's Spirit. Except ye be reprobates. All right? You know it is to be in this truth, receiving this word, and then martial law comes up, and then you're like, you know what? I never really taught the chip was the MOTB. I mean, we're using credit cards, we're using, bank cards all along, same cashless system. What makes this any different? You know what? Yeah, let me go ahead and let me take this thing. All right, and then guess what? You gonna be destroyed. Because why? Because you had on a Hebrew Israelite mask, and under that was a nigger underneath that mask. Yeah, so basically, if you're in this truth and you don't believe, you have on a Hebrew Israelite mask, but then there's a different individual underneath. All right? There's a different individual underneath. As it says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, whether you have on an Israelite mask and an Israelite face. Prove your own self. Prove to your own self. No, you're not your own self. You know your own self. You know what you believe. You know what you don't believe. All right. You know what you're offended by. All right. You know if you bear, because the scriptures talk about, if you bear hatred towards your brother, you're a murderer. You can't say you in the faith and bear hatred. So you might hide hatred with a smile, but it's still there, and you only fooling your own self. That is why the Lord said, repent. All right. So don't stop trying to hide a ninja with a Hebrew Israelite mask. All right. It says, how that Yahushai Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates, but I trust that ye shall know. I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates. So yeah, we're not reprobates. We in this because we in this. All right. Where we take off our Hebrew Israelite mask, take off the garments, take off the cameras, we still Israelites. All right? We still Israelites. You know it is for you to be walking on the road. No garment, no Bible in your hand, not just minding your business. And somebody just stops you. Hey, something about you, There's something about you, just different. They see that light. That happened on many times. On many times that happened to me as an individual and even as a group. All right, you there and people they pinpoint you because there's something different. There's something different about you. Because why? Because you constantly wearing that Hebrew Israelite mask. Because that's all. Some people might think that it's a mask, but when they grab that mask to put it off, it's your natural face because you're a Hebrew Israelite all year round, with the camera on and with the camera off. All right. This is Philippians chapter 1 and verse 16. It says, after verse 15, it says, some indeed preach Mashiach even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. The one preach Mashiach of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. So one do it insincerely, the other do it sincerely. Do it out of love, the other do it out of his own gain. All right, the other do it out of his own gain. But you know what Paul said? It says that what then, notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Mashiach is preached, and I daring do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice. So yeah, Yahushua will be preached, but who gonna receive the prize at the end? Because you preached, you were acting while you were on the highways and byways. So yeah, you help wake some up. As he said, there's one that is profitable unto another and unprofitable to himself. So Gorilla Hebrew, you was profitable unto others, but you was not profitable unto yourself, and other men like that. When you're out there preaching, putting on that act, and you waking men up, but guess what? You within yourself, you're not helping yourself. All right. So now I want to look up where it says here in verse 16. It says that they do it for contention. And we look up the word contention. It says what? Electioneering or intriguing for office. All right. Apparently, in the New Testament, a courting this distinction, a desire to put oneself forward, a partisan and factitious spirit which does not disdain low arts. Partisanship. Let me see what that word means. All right. It says partisanship. It says prejudice in favor of a particular cause, of bias, an act of blatant political partisanship. All right. Let's look up here. Factitious. Related or inclined to dissension. Basically, dissension. Let's look up dissension. It says disagreement that leads to discord. Basically, you out there and you causing riots because just like politics, you trying to 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 basically make a name for yourself. You're just trying to make a name for yourself. Look up partisan. A strong supporter of a party, cause, or person, a member of an armed group force that fight secretly, like Sikari. All right. It says this same word was found before the New Testament times only in Aristotle. It says where it denotes a self-seeking pursuit of political office by unfair means. All right. So you just want to be that head person, and you don't care how you get there. You just want to make a name for yourself. You just want to be the top man, and you don't care if it's on. You don't care who you step on to get there. And that is not what this truth about. This truth is not about your own personal gain. Which proves if you're doing this, then you only have on a Hebrew Israelite mask. It says, Paul exhorts the church to be one in the same mind with Mashiach, not putting self forward or being selfish. It says, speak against having selfishness or self-promoting in your heart. Yeah, like saying, hey, I'm the man. I'm the boss here. I'm the big gun. I'm the leader. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You're already established as a leader. You don't need to propel yourself forward. Try to how to say, push yourself and make yourself look greater than where you are. All right. Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will exalt you in due time. This ain't about you. This ain't about me. This ain't about us. This is about Yahushua being exalted. All right. This is not about us receiving glory. This truth is not about self-glory. All right. Make sure that when you take your Hebrew Israelite mask off, there remains a Hebrew Israelite face. There remains a man that is sincere, or a sister that is sincere about this faith. All right? Don't be a saint, humble in front of people, and then wicked as hell behind closed doors. Don't do that. Don't do that. It only profiting, the wicked one. It not profiting anybody else. There's Matthew 24. Matthew 13 and so that verse 20, it says, he that received the seed in stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yes, so you come in this truth, you receive this word, you happy. It says, yet had not root in himself. He couldn't be constant, he couldn't be firm. It says, but do it for a while, for when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he was offended. Now, when you look up the word offended, it doesn't mean like, hey, you offend me. Nah, that is not what it means. All right? When you look up the word offended, it means what? To put a stumbling block or impediment in the way upon which another may trip or fall. Metaphor, offending. To entice to sin. So by and by he got enticed to sin, to fall away from the truth because of persecution that arose because of the word. You doubted because why? That faith was not concrete in you, to cause a person to begin to distrust or desert one whom he ought to trust and obey. So you start to distrust and obey Yahweh Shai. Because why? Because the microchip, this can't be it. Now Esau could be saved. Why would the Lord hate all people and only love one people? You start to doubt everything that you were taught coming up in this truth, because you at when you were on your secret time, on your personal time, when you took off your mask, you are a completely different person. You are a completely different person. You smoking, all right? You committing adultery, might be committing some form of sodomy. You breaking the laws. You might be breaking into people's houses, selling drugs. But you know when you out there, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Because why? Because everybody else doing it. So you might as well do it too. It only profiting the hearers. It's not gonna profit you if you be acting like this. It says to cause to fall away, to be offended in one. That is, to see in another what is disapproved and of what hinders me from acknowledging his authority. All right, so you start to distrust Yahweh Shai. You start to distrust the men in the faith. You start to look at everybody funny because why? Satan done entered into your brain, and you start being a whole different, matter of fact, not start being a whole different person. Now your Hebrew Israelite mask, it starts cracking, and you see the darkness from that worldly man starts to come out. All right, it says to cause one to judge unfavorably or unjustly of another. All right, it says, since one who stumbles or whose feet gets entangled feels annoyed. Yeah, you start to feel annoyed with this truth. That is why you reach to the point and say, nah, I'm no longer a Hebrew Israelite. Because why? This truth starts to get exasperating, and you're like, nah, I don't want to be a part of this no more. Because why? Because you never had that Hebrew Israelite face. You had on that Hebrew Israelite mask, but you didn't have that Hebrew Israelite face. You didn't have that Hebrew Israelite face. You have to be a Hebrew Israelite all year round. Not only when the camera's on, not only when you're in front, the brethren. You have to be that man of the Lord always. Philippians 2:12, it says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but much more in my absence. Yeah, in your absence, because that is when the real man shows up. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling, because guess what? When you by yourself, that is when Satan will come and attack you. You understand? That when he will come and attack you, but you have to be like Yahweh Shai. Hey, the Lord said this, the Lord said that. So that means you always have to be in the scriptures to counteract them demons. All right, so you have to obey, not only in presence but also in absence. It says what? Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Work out your own salvation. Work out your own salvation. Work out your own salvation, because guess what? You alone could cause yourself to fall. You think if somebody, disrespects you in your faith and you stop doing the works, you're going to tell the Lord, with this guy, he said this, he did this, that's why I stopped. The Lord don't want to hear that. You would cause yourself to not be saved. You. Just remember that. You. Final precept here is 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors. You'd betray Yahweh Shai when you leave this faith. Heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh, having a form of godliness, that Hebrew Israelite mask, but denying the powers thereof. From such turn away. All right, so you have to turn away from a man when you realize that all he has is a Hebrew Israelite mask and not the Hebrew Israelite face. You have to be a Hebrew Israelite all year round. You can never stop being an Israelite. You could stop pushing this faith. You could stop believing in it, but that ain't gonna do you no good. You might as well have not come into the truth. You might as well have not come into the truth, because guess what? It's only gonna lead to your own damnation. All right. So with that, I hope it was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemi Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy who do rule well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and saints elect. This is your brother Marcus out here in Trinidad, saying Shalom and stay strong. Shalom.